Well, hello. Every gal needs a cowboy hat.
Scanning the room, you look for a familiar face. Everyone is a stranger. Your heart's racing, you feel nauseous. New plan. You meet 4 new people. Okay, 3. 2? You can handle 2. And then you think, I hate this. This just feels so fake. And before you talk to even 1 new person, you're looking for the nearest exit.
Okay. Crazy. Yo, who invited this chick?
My heart races when I walk into a room full of strangers too. Except it's not anxiety, it's excitement. I'm not thinking networking quota. I'm thinking, look at all these stories. And I get so pumped about talking to people that I don't know.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Welcome! Happy Wednesday and welcome. My name is Gail Robertson. I am Chief Curiosity Officer with GailNow. And I help manufacturers both tell and share their stories. Great stories. There's so many stories to share. I am also a keynote speaker and I talk about sign up, suit up, and show up because that's where the magic happens, and especially in manufacturing because there are so many stories that need to be told. And today we're going to be digging in about maybe how to better tell some of the stories and how you can set up process to help tell some of those as well. And in this new online world, we've seen a lot change with the pandemic, but now, things are maybe starting to get back to quote normal, but it's all changed. We can't go back. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. So we're going to talk about how we can move forward. And on my show, I like to welcome people that are showing up, helping other people show up, because there's so much we can learn from each other. And I have just an amazing group of people that I've connected with because of social media, because of being both online and in person. And I noticed someone just popped into the comments, Lauren, hello, Lauren, because we met on a train. So it's amazing how you meet people, stay connected, and then you have these stories, and then they show up later in your life. It's just so cool. And today's guest, I met today's guest through networking, through connecting. We would never have met, likely we might not have ever met if it wasn't for the pandemic and doing online networking. I just don't see that our paths probably would have crossed. And thankfully, I've crossed paths with so many wonderful people because of online networking. And then I end up meeting them in real life too. So this next guest, I did just meet recently in real life at a trade show. So I want to welcome him onto the stage. Dun, 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 dun. My guest, David Crysler, welcome. Let me see, get this. There we go. David,
Hey,
David. Okay. My fellow TikToker.
I think the only person to encourage me to do cooking classes and to do a duet yesterday. So we're uncharted territories as always with you, Gail.
And you came on my inaugural TikTok live.
Yes.
And just a sidebar here. I have been on TikTok and I've been like, everybody knows I'm like, I just need to get to 1,000 so I can go live. And then I got to 1,000. I went, now what do I do? Because I thought it was still so far off in the distance. And then I got it and I came on and you and Sam Gupta showed up and a few other, unusual cast of characters.
Unsavory characters.
block. But you know what? We're going to talk about this too, that sometimes, trial and error is good and you have to like jump in and try something new. And I am very grateful that our paths have crossed because whenever I think about getting stuck in somewhere, I think, okay, my little voice in my head said, what would the king of process do? And, you know, we often talk about this simple, right? But simple isn't always easy. So before we jump in, because I know we had our little personal talk here, but now some people may be popping in going, who's David Crysler, the Crysler Club? Are we going to talk cars? And it's not Crysler like the cars. It's no H. So let's start. Before we jump in, let's just do a little intro because we have some people in the comments, and that'll give you an idea too. When you're introducing yourself, you'll know who's new, there's quite a few people coming in. Oh, Megan Ziamba. Hello.
Oh, hey, Megan.
Here. We have Inger saying hello.
Hello.
We've got Shannon. Good afternoon, all. Hello, Shannon. And my friend Lauren, your energy is contagious. Thank you. Yours as well. Now, Lauren, we met on a train trip to Toronto, and oh my God, she's an amazing young woman. She's been over in Ireland working. She's back now here working at another local organization. She's just a dynamo, and all from a conversation on a train. And she has, what's that term? Oh, she has a term. Can you drop it in what you say? It's not, okay, she's going to drop that term that she always uses with us. So drop it in the comments and I'll, okay, we have more networking going on. And we have, Whitney, okay, awesome to see so many friends here. Thank you, Whitney. I sort of feel like I know I'm going to have a call with Whitney because we've been crossing paths online, and it's so great to see her. She shows up at a lot of my shows, so thank you. And we have in the house. We got Valerie's in the house. Hello, Valerie. Another dynamo that we know through crossing paths and networking. So for everyone that's listening on here, maybe thinking, okay, do they all know each other? Well, yes and no. We kind of have all crossed paths through networking, through live shows. And well, as I said, that's where the magic happens because we've all connected in some way. And then it becomes, Valerie knows somebody that knows somebody. So, and that's for all the salespeople, especially listening. It's so amazing that you can get leads often from other people that will open doors for you. It's pretty cool. Wait, I want to go back because Brian Geniak is in the house. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Brian, you met Brian because he's with Cavalier Tool here in Windsor. And they have their tagline is people, process, equipment. So we're going to come back to that because that's sort of a very good tagline. We have Chris here, the king of process.
I got to get a new intro or something.
We're gonna.
With that.
I think there's a TikTok in there that I'll help you with.
Of course.
We need to find a song that says, who needs a lunch break when Gail and Dan? Well, you can eat lunch, Dan. We're not watching you. Go ahead, shovel the food in, man. Bring it on.
Just keep the crumbs out of the keyboard.
Yeah, that's right. You got to go back. Here we go. We'll come back because she calls it, the term is meet cute. That's what we had. We had a meet cute. And this was all before the pandemic. And what I loved about Lauren, we were on the train, we were sort of talking, but we knew, we picked up social cues to also go back, do some work. So sometimes someone will you're like, no, I want to go back to reading. And we talked about that after. It was so great. We both kind of picked up, okay, time to shut up and go do our own work and then come back, talk some more. Then we have, Nigel here. Nigel from across the pond.
Yeah.
Wonderful to see you. Yeah, because it must be evening for Nigel or late.
Yeah.
Late evening. Dan says, most of us know each other here. Just saying, although Lauren is new, I don't know if Lauren knows everybody. So Dan, we have some more people. We've got some more meeting and greeting. We have, Brian Forster. Did you meet Brian at the show?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. We have a LinkedIn user. Not sure who that is. So if you could identify. Whoa.
Wow. Somebody cleared their schedule a little bit. Wow.
I tell you, Sam showed up at my live TikTok and here today. I tell you, Sam,
I want to give a quick shout out to Sam as being the connector of connectors. He is the reason that you and I are on this live together. So yeah, shout out to Sam for being such a amazing connector of people.
He is, and he knows how to connect like the right people, bring people in.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's, I always will remember our Saturday morning conversation when I went and I go, what the heck's ERP? And I didn't really want to ask. So we were talking away and I'm like, oh God, I hope I'm going to learn what this is. And then he invited me into the networking group and I'm like, I don't even know what it is.
But that's, you know, that's a testament to not just who Sam is in terms of the skill set that he brings, you know, to people, but it's really to speak to that networking aspect that you mentioned earlier, and being open to connecting and being open to learning, and, you know, kind of back to your 3-part process of, you know, sign up, suit up, and show up.
There we go. Thanks. Okay. Well, we have a welcoming party. We've got the studio audience is on fire today. They're all connecting up. So let's now go to you, David, because you are the star of the show today. So please, can you give me a little bit of background about how you got to be known as the king of process? And okay, I may have given you that title, but I think you can still own it. And I know you're the kind of person that would be like reluctant to actually use it yourself. But I'm going to get you using it. It's going to be a hashtag soon.
Thank you, Gail. Yes, thank you for coining that phrase for me. And yes, I would definitely not be the first person to shout that from the rooftops.
Here's what I know about you and why. You know, I always say like Inger too. Inger is the yin to my yang, right? Because you know you need that balance with people, and you are amazing. So I want to so. Let's talk about the king of process. And I called you that for a reason. Let's go back and tell a little bit about a history of how you got, where you came from and where you are now.
Yeah, happy to. It's really, you know, it's not just my story, but it's a favorite story of mine to tell, just because, you know, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. So as I say, I saw from a really early age what it was like to work hard, you know, in your business. My parents grew multiple businesses, and, you know, sometimes they were tied up with those businesses. So, you know, sometimes I didn't have them there for different events. So I kind of knew what that was like. And, you know, growing up in that environment, we spent lots of time, you know, at the shop, right? Nights, weekends, those types of things. And I just kind of thought that was normal, right? I thought that's what everybody did that owned a business. You kind of devote your entire life to that thing because you're trying to get it to grow from something to nothing. And, you know, to be successful every day, you have to show up and do all of that hard work. So it was pretty common for my parents to, you know, get up before I went to school and come home well into the night. And then, you know, that was Tuesday, and Wednesday happened again. So kind of growing up in that environment, I thought the kind of simple answer was, well, I'm going to go work for a really big company, because surely they kind of have, you know, all of it figured out, right? Like, that's how else did they grow to be such a big company? And, you know, so I spent nearly 20 years of my professional career working for a large publicly traded company that grew through acquisition. And, you know, while they had access to things like ERP and kind of this systemization and process development, it still all got done at the plant level. It was kind of like the people that clocked in every day to do the work. That's how it got done. And so while there was this support system in place and people that have kind of come before you, you know, every acquisition, you know, that came into the mix, it was, you know, how do we bring them into the corporate fold? How do we, you know, systemize them and implement ERP? And how do we get that, you know, again, that corporate culture as part of this smaller organization? So, you know, for me, kind of fast forwarding, I'd always had this entrepreneurial itch because of how I grew up and saw that. And, you know, I knew at one point I always wanted to do my own thing. So kind of coming out of the corporate world, you know, I actually had an opportunity to buy into a business, and I did that. I invested into a business and did that for about a year and a half. Grew that business pretty significantly in a short time by getting kind of operational infrastructure in place, systemizing, right? Planning, people, process, technology. And, you know, so I wanted an opportunity. I had so much fun doing that. I wanted an opportunity to kind of impact more small business owners, more, you know, leaders in the space, and show them that, hey, there really is a kind of a different way to grow your business if that's what you want to do. And so I founded a consulting business, and we work with manufacturing leaders, small to mid-sized manufacturing leaders, to help them systemize their business to grow profitability, to, you know, achieve operational excellence. So been doing that for the last 2.5 years and having a ton of fun, get to meet amazing people like yourself. So.
You know what I love about your story, because I'm a big advocate and talk a lot about the power of transferable skills. And, because you now you've grown up, you've seen many sides to entrepreneurship, and then going out, working in the corporate world. And then now you can come in, and I know that you're really good at having that vision. And that's one of the things, if I've learned anything from listening to you, and if, when you're speaking about processes, that like, what you're talking about. And I just, and that comes from, and a lot of it sometimes, and this is what's harder to sometimes grasp, especially when you are a process person, is that intuitiveness as well. And I realize sometimes, even myself, like intuitively I know something, but then I know I have to put it into, like, I can't just say, but often if I'm starting a project, I know where we need to go. Like, it's almost like you have to show your work sometimes in class. And I'm like, but I know the answer already. I know the answer, right?
Yeah.
And then I assume what you can do is go in then to companies. Now, is this true that do you believe you can sometimes go in and just know exactly, but then you kind of put it into the process steps for them so that they can learn?
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to start with, where do you really want to go as an owner, as a leader, right? An ops leader. And that could be for the entire organization. That could be for the department that you're responsible for. But that's where it always starts. And when I work with business owners specifically, I tell them there's nothing wrong with owning a lifestyle business if that's what you really want to do, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't have systems in place, that you shouldn't, implement continuous improvement and engage and empower your people, right? Because at some point you're going to want a vacation. You're going to want to be away for at least some period of time, but that's totally fine. And for other people, it's okay that you want to grow an empire, and you can do that. That could be multiple locations. That could be multiple product lines. That could be one of a number of different things. So for me, it always starts with, what are you trying to do? And then how do we align, the planning, people, process, technology? How do we kind of optimize those things and bring those things together to ultimately, start moving towards that vision of where you want to be? And kind of a point that you were making earlier, for me, I learned the hard way. Right. I've done this for more than 25 years now, and I made the mistakes. I was, as I tell the story, like, I was a terrible leader when I was a young person, right? Because I was a 20-year-old kid that got this opportunity. And because I kind of grew up in business, and as I said, it was like the old school way, right? It was like rule with the iron fist, like, what do you want me to do? Okay, I'll go do that. It's different now. And for me, that was my journey. Like, I had to learn how to engage and empower people. I didn't read a book, right? Like, I read lots of books, but I did it because I screwed it up so many times. So the things I talk about, the things I share, it's all my stories of what happened, what went wrong. So, I can help you avoid some of those costly lessons and setbacks that I endured in my tenure.
That's so true. Because we both are at, you younger than I am, but I mean, getting into the consulting side of things after you've already had lived experience. And, I've learned this as a parent. So I often tell other people, because now that my son is, turning 20 and a young man, but what I learned from parenting a teen, and I often say, there's so many books about, what to know when you're pregnant, what to know with toddlers, but there's not nearly enough talk about how to parent teens. And it is so different. And I wish someone had told me some of the things, because it's really helped. I find parenting a teen has also helped with business, because you have to also, stand back, like you said, let people do their jobs. And that leads us into a term that, and because you've done full disclosure about saying, imperfections, I was an imperfect leader as well. It was a project manager, someone that knew a lot about project management, he said to me, Gail, you're a great firefighter, but sometimes we need fire prevention officer. We need like someone. And because, if there's something blowing up, bring me in, get out of my way. And I'm in there like you got a problem, get out of my way. I'm in there. Right. Yeah. But not everybody, that gives a lot of stress to people. It energizes me in a way. Like, if there's a problem, I'm like, oh, let's fix this. And that was the best lesson, because what was happening was I was also, and he used this term, he says, you're the bottleneck. And I was like, what? Because I thought, well, no, I got to do all this to make sure everything gets done the way I thought it needed to get done. So let's talk about bottlenecks, because there may be some people even in our studio audience today that may be bottlenecks, because, you know, us type A people that, you know, we like things done a certain way. And can you talk about what happens if you are the bottleneck, or you see a bottleneck person in your organization? And maybe explain bottleneck for, I hope, like I try to explain it. For me, it's like when you're trying to like do everything because you think you are the, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great explanation of it, right? And so many operations leaders, business owners, they kind of, as I say, you know, they wear that hard work, right? Like they wear those 14-hour, 16-hour days as like a badge of honor. And that really shouldn't be something you should be proud about and celebrate. That to me screams you have significant process and system, you know, issues within your business. And, you know, so whether it's you or whether it's somebody on your team that you're recognizing it, one, it's a really, you know, challenging mindset to change, especially if you're somebody that kind of celebrates that and wants to be seen as kind of, you know, the firefighter, the day saver. Like you shouldn't be all of those things. And at the end of the day, even if you used to do the process, right? So that's kind of how I tell the story. Even if you used to do the process, it's been a long time since you touched it, right? Which means that there's other people, could be multiple layers of people that are near and dear to that process. So why wouldn't you, you know, want to bring them in when you're trying to solve a problem? And that could be a quality problem. That could be, you know, a planning problem. That could just be, you know, how do we improve delivery of this particular item? You know, how do we, you know, streamline this new piece of equipment that we've got in place, you know, that's going to replace maybe a couple of different processes. So you know, that's where the shift of, one, you have to recognize this is who I am, and this is, you know, like how I kind of see the world. And two, you got to be willing to change that and then go out and kind of empower and engage people. And for me, one of the most powerful things you can do if you are that person is kind of own it, right? All team meeting and own it and say, look, I don't want to be like this. I know I can't be like this. If we want to go here, here's where I want to go with this. And ask for, you know, your team, ask for people to hold you accountable and say, hey, I'm going to screw this up and I don't want to, but I'm going to. So help me, you know, be better. And it's like, you know, talk about bringing people together in a situation where it's always been one way. And yes, you still have to live up to it. You still have to prove it day in, day out. But those are a couple of things that I would say to people that are in that mindset and need to get out.
You know, that's very helpful for people to, as you said, sometimes ask for help. And because what happens if you tend to be that person that's a bottleneck, what can also happen is your staff or people working around you have what another term I've learned helplessness. And what that meant to me was that what people will do is they go, well, if you're going to come and override me every time, you know what, I'm just going to wait, or I'm going to do the bare minimum because you're going to change it. And I often use the analogy of the loading the dishwasher. If you want, if to me, now that's where I can let go. If someone's going to load my dishwasher, I just shut the door and away it goes, right? I don't go rearrange it because, and I've seen that happen, right? Someone come along and rearrange it. Then it's like, well, why did I do it in the person who loaded? Why did I do it in the first place? So
yeah, I like that term. We used to call it, you know, baby birds, right? Everybody would come up, well, what should I do next? You know, what do you think about this? How should I go about that? And instead of, you know, engaging and empowering people and them understanding what their responsibilities are, you know, like I said, give them the goal, give them the bounds, right? Give them the why are we doing this? Don't give them the how, and then give them the, you know, the bounds around it and let them go to town. So
give them the why, not the how. Love that. That is so important. I think when it comes to setting up a process too, is that, you know, allowing people to fail. I would say that, you know, thankfully I did fail the number of times I did. And because those are the things to this day, I never forget. Like I'm always, before I send something to print, always making sure, do you have the right number? Because one time there was one of my staff, there was a postcard we were doing and the last number was wrong. And it was some, like, you know, one of those 1-900 calls. Instead, it was like an inappropriate place. And my staff came in and I just said, you know what? It's done. This was when I think I was becoming that better leader. And I said, at the end of the day, it's my responsibility. And I said, let's not fret about it. Let's figure out how do we resolve it now? What do we do? Right. So I said, let's come up with a plan. And I remember this poor, she was in tears. I said, listen, it's done. It's over. Let's move forward. And and you know what? That was where I started learning about process. Okay, let's go back and see how to, I want to know what can we change in the process, because there's no sense beating yourself up. No sense me beating you up over it, because it's done and over. And that's when I really started learning about the power of process, is that when a mistake's made, go back and just figure out where the hole is. Where can you do something different?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, one of the most important lessons I've learned when it comes to creating process and continuous improvement with them, developing systems, and to your point, right, it was a painful lesson, and one I honestly, when it happened, I thought I would have been terminated over it. It was a tens of thousands, multiple times over dollar quality issue that we had at a facility that I was responsible for. And, like many people do that were in my position, and other business leaders and owners, you kind of look at that process, what went wrong, right? You bring people together, you talk about it, you kind of unwind what happened. And the short version of the story is that, okay, we shored up all the, loose ends in the process. Right. And I remember, telling my boss at the time, here's all the things we did, and we retrained, and we, got everybody pulled together. We did all, and he's like, well, how do you know? And I was like, what are you talking? Like, I just told you, I just told you, how do I know? And, this went back and forth, and it finally clicked with me. And the most important lesson that I've learned about process development and continuous improvement is you have to test, you have to audit, you have to introduce failure when you think you've solved a problem, and see, because in that particular situation, when we introduced failure, we didn't fix it. We thought, we had all the meetings, we documented all the processes, we went through all of the retraining, and lo and behold, we didn't fix it. So it potentially could have happened again for the same amount, for less, for more. It didn't matter. But the whole point is you have to audit, you have to inspect what you expect. And if you don't, you are totally missing the boat thinking that you've solved a problem within your business.
Inspect what you expect.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to add that we need to, that's a takeaway. Inspect what you expect. Yeah, I like that one. That's good. Let's go to our studio audience. And I've been watching the comments. There's a lot happening. So everyone, thank you. I mean, what's great about every time I do this show, what I love is the, all of the networking that's going on. So I'm going to go through and highlight some of the comments. I'm not going to probably go through all of the networking when you're just not just when you are saying hello to everybody, because that's not a just, that's a big, high five to everyone. We have, let me see. So we have Sam said, Denver, it seems that we know the whole world. Guess who is to blame? Now, I think Dan's going to come back and respond to that in a minute, but we have Catherine Young visiting with curiosity. Thank you, Catherine. And we are going to get together in she's here in my community. So we met at a recent networking event through another networker. So great to see you, Catherine. Love to see that. We have hellos back and forth. And we have, look who else is here. Katie. Katie is
the queen of gifts.
Yes.
Or GIFs, depending on what side of that fence you land on.
I think it's gifts. I think it's a gift. I think it's a hard Gail gift. And Katie says, if you're a manufacturing not following Katie, you must follow her. Yep. She is a fellow funster too. Oh, Katie, if we ever unleashed you on TikTok, we would have too much fun. We wouldn't get any work done though. So maybe that's not such a good thing. Now we have Dan saying, volley back. Sam, you seem to be right. I network all over the world. Sorry, I don't. Who is at fault? There's a little volleying. I know there's going to be the Dan and Sam. There's lots of volleying back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
We have Shannon. This is my first time, but won't be my. I love. Oh, thank you, Shannon. That's wonderful. I love to see, new people coming in. And Shannon, one of the amazing things about here, while I do focus my show on manufacturing, some of the guests I have actually, it applies to other industries, other areas as well. So it's kind of exciting. I'm more and more, I'm going to have people that are focused on manufacturing, but then I have people that also bring another flavor. We just had last week, we had Amanda Carroll who talked about your great work. And she doesn't only do, she does a work with actually a lot of, probably more women and entrepreneurs, but the same applies, because great work is great work. And I'm a great believer that the same with showing up and networking. And it's kind of exciting to cross paths in different areas, because I've met people that I've met people in manufacturing through people that weren't in manufacturing. We have Katie saying insert gifts with fire here. Yes, we need the fires. We have a lot of, a lot of back and forth. And then here we go. Okay. Sam has volleyed back to Dan. Now, for those of you that don't know the personalities of Sam and Dan, this is like a volley back and forth. If I could have be like a tennis match, right? So Sam says, Dan Bigger, I'm okay if you want to blame me, but I see you as a much bigger connector than me. So I was thinking of blaming you if you're okay with it. So I will tell you, Dan and Sam are big connectors. They are they're a force on digital. That's for sure.
Two amazing people. And if you're not connected with them, highly recommend connecting with both of them.
Yeah. And Megan too. Megan's doing phenomenal work in lifting women up in manufacturing. Megan, she is a machine. So make sure you're connecting with her, because that's a big area of interest of mine. I'm doing a lot of work in the background through my work with being on the board of Canadian Association of Mold Maker, and how to get more, not just women, but young people into the world of manufacturing, because it is a big, it's a big problem, and we need to come up with more solutions other than saying it's a big problem and we need to come up with more solutions.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I've been having some similar conversations. For me, just quick on that. It's really about sharing your story, right? Like our stories of how manufacturing, how these industries have impacted, our lives positively, with the networking, with the opportunities, and getting young people and people that are outside of it to get them interested. And it's like, I always use the example, why is a show like How It's Made so popular? It's because it's the inside look. Nobody knows how, most people don't know how things are created, and manufactured. So that's your opportunity to show people how cool, all the different things are that we can make, with our heads and our hands. So.
And another area that we need to get really on top of, and the education system needs to seize this, is that, a lot of young people want to, for mold making, for example. Well, as a mold maker, if you start on the shop floor, you don't have to necessarily stay forever on the shop floor. You can work become a mold designer. There's other roles. And I think that, people are going to school and thinking they're going to walk out as an engineer and walk right into an engineering job. But you need to first, when I was a journalist in my past life. And one of my first jobs was working in a circulation department. And I tell you, that's where I learned the most about the newspaper industry, is working you get all the calls of when people don't get their paper. And I tell you, when people don't get their paper, and as a journalist, you think, oh, it's because they missed my news. No, you know what they missed back in the day? They missed their TV guide, their crossword puzzle, and the classifieds. So it was a real kind of eye opener for me. It's like, guess what? I'm not all that special as a journalist, right? So it was very helpful, and it kept me grounded and never, as my mom would say, you don't want to get too big for your boots, that kind of thing.
The other thing it really does, so one of the things that my parents did really well when they brought somebody new into the business that they owned, they would actually, as part of the training kind of curriculum, right, they would make them work every aspect throughout the entire organization. And, even a salesperson, they would come in and, they'd be a press assistant. They'd work in the artwork department. They'd take garbage out. And it's like, why are you making me do this? So you have an appreciation when you ask for somebody to go above and beyond. So you have an appreciation of all the steps that have to get taken when you come in and drops, a job off on somebody's desk and expect it to be done in an hour. And it really gives you a well-rounded kind of approach and appreciation for the stuff that happens internally. And so ultimately you can impact the organization no matter where you're at, where you land, so to speak. So,
and we're going to get into some tips about process, but I think that's a really good one that, you know, when you're onboarding people, it's good to get people exposed, even as a marketer working. Okay, I got into mold making, and I will, full disclosure, for the longest while, I didn't really know the difference between a mold maker and a molder, because sometimes when I go into the shop, I'd see the end product. They were talking about, you know, the plastic tub or whatever. And then I'm like, oh no, they make the tools, then make the next step, right? But that, a lot of that had to do with me spending more time on the shop floor. And whenever I go into a shop, I'm always talking to the, you know, oh, tell me what you do. And sometimes they're talking, I'm like, I don't really know. But if I hear it enough times, I learn about, you know, what that machine does. And also seeing, this is what else I've learned by being on a shop floor. I would see this big, massive, you know, steel tool, massive. And then they'd say, oh, this is the part it makes. I'm like, that big tool makes this. What? Because they have hoses coming out, and they have, like, I tell you, it gives me a whole new appreciation for supply chain. And then I had another company I worked with that made the tools to make the tools. I'm like, what? There's tools and there's tools. And then so, you know, we use the term with the Canadian Association of Mold Makers of the people that make things that make things. And that's that, you know, pulling back the curtain to look behind how we get to all of our our plastic tubs, our car parts. And okay, this is gonna be another show. Stay tuned, because I'm gonna get on my soapbox about the ban on plastics. And as a former journalist, I would have been that person that would have, like, went on a tirade about, yeah, I gotta get rid of plastics. Now I'm like, whoa.
Careful what you wish for.
So now I'm being faced. Anyways, I know I'll be doing another show about that, so I will restrain myself from getting on a soapbox today about that. But stay tuned for soapbox about that issue and our Canadian government right now. So, okay, let's go back to finish up the comments and get back to. Oh, we did have a. Okay, this is a fun. Dan had to volley back. Sam, either way, I'm fine. My wife and kids blame me for everything. Why not?
That comment is so Dan, and I love it. It's hilarious.
You could just hear him saying that.
Yep.
Too. And then Sam comes back with, and this is so Sam. I am happy to pile on, Dan.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, we don't mean to have an in-joke laugh, but I think a lot of people on this call probably know both Dan and Sam. And if you don't, you must get to know them, and then you will find the humor in this back and forth. So we also have Jonathan. Welcome, Jonathan. Hello from the US of A. We got a big holiday coming up too. We have Canada Day and the 4th of July. That's like,
coming right around the corner.
Right around the corner. Then we have, good evening, Kitty. Been in school all day doing LARP interviews with 15-year-olds. Great day, but very tiered. I think he meant tired. Tiered. He might be tiered as well. Tiered.
He could be. He could be.
Tiered. It must be so hard to learn the English language. Think about words like that. Tears, you know, 222. Okay. We have Inger saying, love your story, my friend David. Yes.
Thank you, Inger.
Liz is in the house. Hello, Liz.
Oh, Liz.
We met Liz because of Sam as well.
Yeah.
Now, Lauren, remember we were talking about the meet cute, which we had, but she also said this. This is referencing transferable skills. She said the first time I learned that term was from you, Gail. Absolutely brilliant way to explain the paths we end up in work and passion project. We're going to come to passion and process as well. Yes, I will say transferable skills. I mean, I'm on my 5th career right now. For those that you don't know, I was a reporter. I ran a bed and breakfast. I was a fundraiser. I ran a marketing department. Did I miss something? And then, did I mention I was a fundraiser? Yeah, I was a fundraiser in there. And then the marketing manager, and then now have my own business. So, and I tell you, throughout all of that, transferable skills carried me through everything. So, yes, transferable skills are amazing. And then we had Dan saying that's the best way to learn, David. That was, I think when we were talking, then we have, I can resonate this. I'm a new business owner. I'm learning everything from scratch. Oh, okay, Shannon. Yes. This is, and we're going to get to that next when we're done these comments. We're going to talk about, setting up a process, how to, some tips, and that, you don't have to necessarily go out and do the big grand process projects. They can start pretty simple. So we're going to talk about that with Dave next. We have, hey, Katie, show up again as the new Cheers. Everybody knows your name.
I love that.
I love it. Oh, I'm hearing a TikTok in my head. Everybody knows your name. Or
Does that make me Norm today, or?
I don't know. I don't know who I am. Oh. Let's see who I am. I think I want to be 𝒘𝒊𝒕𝒉. You know, I met her. That's a whole other story. That was in California. It was a book signing. She is, there is someone who has like 50 lives, I think. I read her book. Okay. I asked how much some people hate being micromanaged. We don't need to micromanage time. Yes. And Dan says parenting is an excellent patience. One is bad. Try for no. Thank you. I also believe, I'm a great believer that, you know, whatever you believe in, God, higher power gives you what you can handle. I had one. He was pretty easy to parent. I'm like, I think I hit the, I think I know a bottleneck. Where the hard work, well said. Sometimes it's better light the spark within others instead of always putting out the fires. Ooh, yeah. That is a good one. Lauren, that's golden. Yep. That is probably one of the lessons I learned. I'm sure David as well, as a manager, you know, stepping away and let people, even if you have to just like bite your hand and just let it go. Do not let them do it sometimes, not the way you would do it, and see what the result is. If you don't have people on your staff that can solve the problem, why did you hire them?
So I mean, from my standpoint, Dan, and experience, you know, unfortunately, some people like to hire kind of button pushers, right? Bobbleheads, people. Yes. Okay. I'll do, you know, so you kind of fill your own prophecy with some of that. So back to what I said earlier, you really have to be in the mindset of saying that not only do I recognize that, you know, I kind of wear all this hard work and I'm that bottleneck, but I want to change it. There's some people that don't want to change it. They literally need more people to just do, and they're okay with that. So they have to look for people that are okay, kind of right in turn, that are okay with just taking orders and carrying out tasks. Most people will come in and out of that organization multiple times over because that's not natural for people. People want to be, you know, connected to people, but they also want to have their own input and impact on what they're doing. So those are the types of organizations, again, my experience, that you see a ton of turnover, and you have the manager, the leader, the owner saying things like, these people don't want to work. I can't find anybody to come into my organization. That's so I wanted to kind of address that. It's a great question, but I mean, that's the problem. To look in the mirror.
That is a really big thing, because if you have high turnover, you got to start looking within. And a lot of times what happens is, I've seen where there is high turnover, is that often because there's confusion. And when you have confusion, and I've lived through part of that when I was managing, is that, and what I had to do was luckily I was able to go reach out, get help. I had people in a project management world. I had a great HR support. And what I started doing is, putting process in place. So we'll get to that. That was what was life-changing. And one of the things that I was using that I now use in my business is Jira as a system, right? It's not perfect, but it's really good for, you, especially with multiple people on a team. I found that it was helpful because you didn't have as many emails and everybody could go in and comment. But at first, and here's where the control comes in sometimes, and I found it, I was like, well, then everybody's going to see what everybody's writing. Yeah. But at first that seemed difficult. I was like, well, what if someone comments and the other person doesn't like it? But that system was amazing. And it was towards the end of my time as a manager. And I was like, I wish I had learned that sooner, because it was life-changing using Jira with the group, because we had designers, we had, writers, we had, multiple people working on a project. And with email, it gets so confusing, and it really helps streamline. It's also like using, now I like Google Docs sometimes for editing, right, instead of, because if I get 3 people editing and 3 copies back, anyways, we're going to get to some other tips, so stay tuned. So let me see. Oh, we have, yes, Lauren, that was beautifully. We thank you for saying that. And another person that's in the house is, thank you. Welcome. I haven't talked for a while. She's saying hello. Then we have, now I don't know what Dan was referring. That is Operation Shutdown, Gail. Okay, I don't know what he was referring to, but anyways, something with whatever I said was maybe Operation Shutdown. Guilty of rearranging. Ooh, Whitney. But you know what? You owned it. So I think Dan's going to comment on that where he says, stop it. Or, you know what, the other thing is, then you just, I guess the other thing is you take over ownership of loaded dishwasher. That may be your job if you want it done. I'm like the queen of laundry. I will take full control. Don't anybody touch laundry because I have like 6. I have my delicates. I have whites. I have colors. I have jeans. Like, don't dare mix laundry together. Like, and it's funny because I'm not like that picky, but no, my laundry, you don't mess with it. So I always said, I'll do laundry. I'll take full responsibility for that. Oh, yes. I love this comment. Give them the why, not the how. Ooh, that is golden. That is actually a really good takeaway from today. Often I found now when I want something done, I try to say, here's what I'm getting to. Here's why I want it, instead of telling someone what to do. Then we have a bit of back and forth. Yep, Dan is here because they have someone in common that introducing to each other, but they already knew each other. Yeah, Whitney says, it's so hard when it could be done more efficiently. Okay, then you got to do it yourself. Right? Now, Katie says, it costs me less time and less stress if I can just do it right the first time. Now, that gets into this. Let's maybe come back to this, Dave, and talk about that, because I used to think that, and then does it? Because the other thing is, I would say, and I don't know if you're referring exactly to this, Katie, and I'm only going to talk about this because I have done this, whereas I would think me doing it, but it actually doesn't, because the other thing, it wears down the other person. And I've seen this happen, and I try to catch myself even now, whether I do work with Ingrid, I'm always coming, listen, did I overstep? Because I want to be very careful that I don't, overstep. And then you kind of feel like you're looking over someone's shoulder, you're wearing them down. And sometimes you have to let things be done less perfectly, and not even the way you think is perfect, because perfection is overrated. And perfectionist. And I get stuck in that. Like,
yeah, the best way to look at those types of situations, though, is really just ask yourself, did we accomplish the goal? Right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes, then we're done talking about it, right? I mean, really, yes, you can break it down further and say, was there anything that could have been done more efficiently, blah, blah, right? And it takes you down the whole path. But if you're really in the mindset of that kind of like, it's easier for me to just do it versus training somebody or showing somebody, yes, in the short term, that may be the answer. In the long term, though, right? How many times are you having to do this particular task or process?
Mm-hmm.
And then to your point, what's it doing from a culture perspective, right? So when you're talking about wanting to build a sustainable organization that's, ready for growth, you have to have other people in that mix. You cannot physically do it yourself, right? Especially when it comes to manufacturing facilities. So, in the short term, again, yes, it may be easier for you to just jump in, take care of it, knock it out. In the long term, you're really damaging your culture and business opportunity by doing that and not engaging in process development and all those other types of things. So, owning and leading a business, it's a lot of work, right? So that's just part of it, doing the work.
And sometimes you need to have a psychology and a social work degree as well to really understand. Because the other thing is, I was just going to put up the quote, be curious, not judgmental. And I try to live that more often. And it's hard, right? Because we look at things through what we think is right, what we think is the right way, the best way. And I tell you, that is one thing I learned from my son. And just recently, he popped up on a Saturday. I was outside and he comes up. He just came over to do the lawn. I didn't even ask him. He just showed up. And that's something I've learned to do is like, and I said to him, I'd like, if you can come do the lawn and, regularly, but I didn't tell him to come on a certain day, and he came on his own. So sometimes just saying what you need and then stepping back and hardest thing to do is, and also I always say the other key thing is I noticed this in marketing too, is that you got to let people do what their strengths are. So, because you don't hire a plumber and then tell them what tools to use. And we sometimes have to be careful we don't do that as well. And I have sometimes done that too. So let's go back. We have a lot. Oh my God, comments are blowing up. So I'm going to quickly zip through here because I do want to get to some of the tips and the ideas. And they will probably have to have you back again just to do thing because process is like, well, it's massive. Okay, so we have Sneha with Julie. Welcome, Julie. I don't think we said hello. Yes, introducing failure makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do.
Yep.
The first time we did it, it really, to be perfectly blunt, it really upset some people, right? And I could have used a much more colorful word there, but it really upset some people. So it took a lot of kind of, bringing people together in the conversation about why we did. We weren't trying to set people up. We literally had to kind of do it under the radar to test the process. So there's some extra elements in there with it, but the kind of gist of it is if you do that, you will solve the problems that you're trying to solve.
Well, and as you know, I talk about sign up, suit up, and show up. And one of the things along that journey is the, acknowledging and embracing failure. And people resist it, but failing, that's the best way to learn. It's like a testing method, right? And we don't get that. And auditing. Audit is key to sustaining. CI cannot stress more. Okay, CI. What is CI?
Continuous improvement.
Thank you. Okay, there we go. Audit is key to yes, thank you. See, that's sometimes the other thing is asking those. See, I have no problem asking, okay, what is CI, right? Because we often in the worlds we travel in, and I've had to, luckily being a journalist, I have no problem. I'll ask questions like, what do you mean by that? I often ask people even now, I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Let's go back, rewind, and tell me that again. And I found when I was a reporter, I'd often say to people, whoa, can you tell me? Because I have no idea what you just said. And then they would almost shift gears and talk in plain language.
Yeah.
So that's what my role is now in manufacturing. How do I get people to talk in plain language sometimes?
Yeah. I mean, to that point, Gail, I think that's what kind of maybe intimidates is the wrong word, but I feel like that's why some people avoid kind of systemization, process development, because, they see some of these terminologies and some of the tools that are out there. And it's like, man, I don't know what all that is. And, it's kind of, from my standpoint, you don't need all of that stuff, right? Kind of start where you're at, move forward, take small steps. You can do things as simply as, grabbing a notepad, right? You can do it fancy. You can hire a consultant, you can bring in tools, you can pay for all kinds of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's whatever works, whatever starts moving the needle for where you really want to go in your business.
And I know you've talked about this, and I see a lot of businesses too, job descriptions.
Yeah.
Because I worked in a company, and I think some people expect when they've hired me, I said one of my job description was other duties as assigned. But I'm the kind of person that go in and I can kind of create I also think that's me. That's how I operate. And I can go in where I'm given no direction and just kind of figure it out because I ask a lot of questions, right? Not everybody is like that. And the other thing is for consistency and then so is that something that you find businesses need to start with? Like I've seen people go out and start to look for hiring for someone and they have no job description.
Yeah. I mean, and I'll tell you something specific to job descriptions that I see many, many organizations, big, small, get wrong is they don't define what success looks like, right? Mm-hmm. You as the leader, the owner, whatever, manager, supervisor, fill in the title, doesn't matter to me. You know what success looks like for the position that you're getting ready to hire for. Why not define it? Why does it have to be such a secret, right? What are the KPIs? How are we going to measure this, success? When are we going to meet to talk about what that looks like and how that comes together? What tools are you going to provide to help that person succeed in that role? It's one of the biggest missteps that I see, and something so simple to add into a job description because you already know the answer, right? So why make it a mystery for the person you're trying to attract into your organization? So yeah, that's a great first step. I mean, if you don't have anything documented, it's like when people come to my website, let's say, and I'll give them an operations audit, right? 15 questions. One of the questions, are all of your process is documented, And if they're not, right, that's a great place to start. That can be job descriptions. That could be, how do we take an order? How do we answer the phone? Do we have a script? Do we just go off the cuff? Like, what's our personality as a company, right? Like, these are all things that could be documented in multiple ways to make it accessible for people. For what? To succeed, right? Like, that's the whole point. We spend all this money trying to attract people and, want to grow our business and not have to do everything ourselves. What's it for? To help people succeed, right? To grow our business, all of those things. So
if I were to pick any clip out of why someone would need to hire you and bring you in, was what you just said, David. And seriously, because that is really, it's so simple what you just said. It's like, define success and what is the steps. But simple isn't always easy. And that's where you need accountability. And if I was doing your promotion, I would say, that's what I would just say. That last clip that you just said, to me, if you don't have that, you need it. And then the next thing is, well, who's going to help guide you through it? And this is where, I do it in the world of marketing, right? So from a strategy perspective, I come in and look at, what are you doing? Because it's the same thing. You have to define success. And often when I'm working with a new client, it's like, well, and I'll hear this, well, they'll see me on Twitter. Oh, I should be on Twitter. We should be on Twitter. I'm like, well, maybe not. Like, we need to look at where do you want to communicate with people? And then it's like breaking down all the steps. And what you just said was from an operations perspective. You need to come in and look at those check boxes and not, because if you try to do everything,
you're going to do nothing, because it's way too overwhelming. And the other thing that I find, so that I would kind of put in the bucket of, maybe a smaller business, maybe, maybe less than 50 employees, right, is probably in that kind of bucket. When you start getting into more employees, a little bit more seasoned business, maybe 9 times out of 10, you're going to find documented processes. So that's question one. Question two, follow-up question. If they answer, yes, we do have everything documented. When's the last time you audited them? Are you doing what the process says? Right? Because again, I almost guarantee the answer is, oh yeah, it's been a while. Okay, exactly. So we're not following the processes. Something has changed, right? The inputs have changed. So again, we need to revisit that stuff and find out, what are we doing? Is it helping, to increase our efficiency utilization? Is it helping to decrease our cost of quality? Is it helping, if we're talking about sales and marketing, is it helping to generate revenue, right? Like, all of these different factors. So that's how you have to look at this stuff and break it down. It doesn't matter if you're a 100+ year old business that's a, $300+ million year organization. When's the last time you audited what you're doing?
Wow. Okay. We are coming up to the top here. We still have some more comments to go through. We're going to go through the comments, but we are going to definitely need, there's a few people I'm going to have to come back and do a part 2, because there's so much more we can talk about. But I love what you just said, because it kind of, there's now a curiosity gap of people, I think, going, okay, how do we do this? So number one, I would say definitely, Dave, you are and I mean, the other thing is, though, you don't take, you can't possibly handle all of the people that may want to come and work with you. So that's the other thing, is that, finding the right person to work with is also important. But I love that, the baseline, define success. And then the other thing is, because there's a lot of process, and if you ask people, where is that process? And it's somewhere tucked away on a file, and no one actually knows where it is. So, okay, let's zip through here. And we have some inspect what you expect. So we have turn my join. Okay, we have, another person that popped in here was Russ. Hello, Russ.
Oh, Russ. Hey, Russ.
Russ is a great networker. He's everywhere. He's like,
yeah, he is.
I can't believe, I don't know when. We got a little funny thing here. Jif is a peanut butter. Right, Megan. I'm with you.
I knew that one would agitate somebody.
Somebody's going to come. It always comes out.
I love it.
So we have Russ. Thank you. There's so many wonderful comments. You'll have to come back. Dan had to run and leave out. We have, let's see. So a lot of this is, what I love is that there's a lot of hellos back and forth. I just don't want to miss anybody. See, this is my curious mind. Just knows Jif. It used to be a cleaning product in the UK. Then it was changed to. Is it? Oh, geez. I don't know if that's a. Sometimes.
That is hilarious.
Let's see. So we have, let's see. Oh my goodness, there's so many more. I'm afraid. I always afraid I'm going to miss some. Oh, there's a new person in here. Let me go back up here. We have because I never like to miss, especially. There was a lot of comments here today, Dave.
You know how to draw a crowd.
Yeah. I think it's you here today too. I think it was a TikTok we did. I think everybody said, "Oh, yeah. I sponsor women put manufacturing opportunities in front of kids, especially girls." So I love it. Yes, that is so important. Introducing STEM programs in schools is a great first step. Yes, LinkedIn user. We don't know who you are. If you want to drop your name, we've had
Do you know the story behind this comment?
There's an inside joke here.
Oh, there is totally. Yeah. I won't bore the audience. I will tell you though. It's hilarious.
Okay. So. I think he was in dark lighting or something. Well, we got to tell people because now they're going to be curious.
Okay. All right. So I had Greg on my podcast and we were doing the recording and he used daylight. And so throughout the course, it just kept dimming and dimming and dimming until we couldn't see him. So now I always tease him whenever I see him anywhere on video. Your lighting looks great, Greg. So it was hilarious. It really was. It was a funny joke. So
Greg is one of my favorite people as well. Okay. Amazing. Everybody follow Greg and just go look at his blog. My God.
Yeah. Amazing. Yep.
He is got some deep information there when it comes to manufacturing, marketing, sales. Oh, we have a first timer here. We have Jeff Dixon, first timer. Jeff, cool. Our print company. Thanks for the. Oh, nice. So that's
awesome.
One of your people.
I just connected with Jeff this morning. So yeah, so great. Glad you could join us, Jeff. Hopefully you got some value out of this, and I look forward to staying in touch. So
one of your people. That's a TikTok song. you know, I've spent too much time on TikTok recently, right? I'm hearing TikTok songs, or I'll hear a song on the radio and go, "That's a TikTok song." So, yeah.
What came first, right?
Funny Stoner says right. You know what? That's where you have to take ownership of it. See, I'm like, it is one thing. Do not put my workout, my delicates.
That's why we do our own laundry at this house, Gail.
Yes. Yeah.
It's the way it's always been.
Perfection is done is better than perfect. Anyway, we often say this, and Ingrid and I, we work this and we go, sometimes done is better than perfect, because that's what's nice. You got to get out the door, because I have seen things, sit because I'm going to go back and fix it. And that's one thing when I did the video challenge, it was amazing my videos were better than when I agonize over it. So, very good one. Focus on accomplishing the goal and don't overstep. Yes. Now we've got a longer comment here from Greg. When I'm building process, I need to be involved. Once it's working, it can be delegated. I found then others can improve on it. But if I ask someone to invent it out of the gates, unless my vision is fully okay. Yes, I do think I've done this where I've said to my staff, here, go for it. You do have, and that's where the why, and this is in fact, let's come back to this on another show, Dave, because I think this is something to talk about, because I've done brainstorming where I've sat in and where I've sat out. And it's sometimes when I'm not there's different ideas. So
100%. My answer is it depends, Greg. It depends on what the goal is. And I could break it down either way, but yeah, for sure. That's a good one to come back to.
That is, let's keep that, Dave, on that radar, because I think that's really important to look at that, because us type A people, man, it's hard to us release that control, right? And then need a gold dust. Yes. Letting people do their strengths is so important. Yes. Failing has to happen to truly appreciate success. And I know Katie has to head out to a webinar. Perfection is the enemy of getting things done. I have to back off. Yes, I bet you so many of us can understand that. And we have, let's see, I just want to make sure we haven't missed. So we have off to our India offices tomorrow to tweak our process. See everyone in 2 weeks. David, great. Okay. Yes, Brian is off to India. Enjoy, Brian. That's going to be, make sure, Brian, take photos and talk to Chris. Chris has to get me photos too. So Julie says, "Get you obsessed with TikTok." Me too. Okay, Julie, let's do it. Now let's get a duet trend going, man. We're trendy. We're gonna trend. We're gonna do a duet. I did a rap.
I like that.
Today.
We're gonna trend.
We're gonna manufacture. I did a rap one after I got back from cycling today. Oh, by the way, Cyber, and we're going over an hour. I know, but this is gonna be the longest. This will be I'm wearing my cycling gear and I'm wearing all my summer jewelry. I got my these are sunglasses. I got flip-flop earrings, flip-flop ring. Yeah. So
I love it.
So she says, so is this a show? Oh no, that's still coming. If my son may be doing a duet with me, that'll be like, oh, that's gonna be and yes, so true on the control. Yes, I know, Greg. We are those people. And hey, there's pros and cons to that too. So I will totally do that. Okay, if you can rap, go rap the one. You don't even have to rap, just pretend, have fun with it. So I just did a song because I'm not good at rapping. So I did the smaller part because I figured it's my duet. I can do it. David Crysler.
So much fun, Gail.
I didn't even there's so much more we have to talk about. Plan, execute, review. I didn't even get up the banners. Let me get some of these up here if you want to get. Here we go. Operations consultant. Okay, this is the most important one. And I will, because if you want to know more about David, please go on LinkedIn, connect with him, go to he has a podcast. We didn't even get to talk about your podcast. Oh my goodness. But it's
okay. It was tons of fun.
It was fun.
Lots to get through. And
you got to go back to the 54-minute mark. You can or just before there and save that for your promo. Why you should hire David? Because do you have these? And it's a bit like I've said, I need to get back to the gym and that because I know I need accountability. It's really important I have accountability. And that part of that will be going back to, getting into some classes and that because I like to show up early and then I get to know the instructor and I stand front and center so that I never like to miss them because then they go, where were you? So I know front and center. That's so not me, right?
I always pictured you as more of, sneak into the back and, stay really quiet.
I thought you were maybe serious about the sneak into the back, but no, I'm it's very helpful to be front and center. So we've kind of gotten into now the after show, but we're on live doing the after show sort of thing. I wish I could just hit a button. I mean, you can, but if you could make it easier, everybody come on in, join in the party.
Yeah.
Bring your drinks, bring whatever. It's like, what a day. Well, thank you, David. I'm going to have you go to the green room and I will see you there in a few.
Okay. Thanks so much, Gail. It's tons of fun.
Okay. Oh, today was so exciting. David is he truly is a favorite person of mine. I did get to meet him too. I didn't even get to post this yet. Let me see if I can post this photo because this was, I didn't get to talk to him about it, but let me see if I can find this. We were just at a trade show and can't find it. Oh, wait a minute. Here it is. I'm just going to show this. So this was David and I at the Injection Molding Design Show in Detroit. So as you can see, yesterday was National Selfie Day, and I posted this in the LinkedIn as well, so you'll get to see us. So definitely get in touch with David. If you have a business, you want to make sure you are checking in your process and reach out to Dave and find out what you can do and what you can learn from the king of process. And if you want to reach out to me to talk to your company about strategy around social media marketing, or if you want to discuss having me come in as a keynote or motivational speaker, I do talk about sign up, suit up, and show up, and how you can use curiosity in manufacturing to tell and share your story. You can find me most places here on LinkedIn. Also, I'm over on Twitter. That's where you get to see all the mixing and mingling that I'm doing. I do like to get out and about in the community, and I do tend to post a fair bit. I love cycling. And I'm also on Instagram as GailNow1 and on TikTok. So please follow me on TikTok. Please join in. We need more manufacturing people on TikTok to have fun. And the key thing, have fun first and then educate next. So next week, well, the next few weeks, we have some great guests coming up. So you don't want to miss it. Mark Wednesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and join me and join in the fun, because we have people coming from manufacturing. We also have, well, a mix of people also outside that manufacturing world, and how can we learn from them. Okay, I think I am going to wrap up with, let's see, I think I'll put, let's just go back on because we get to see Dave, and we'll see you next week.